Hey you guys, it's your girl Tina. I want to go ahead and shout out VH1 Access. VH1 Access, and several people wanted to know my opinion on the whole Porsha Williams situation. So 2 days ago, Porsha Williams decided to do a sit-down interview with Access Hollywood, and she was there to promote her new album and talk about her new single, Flatline. And while she was there, she basically admitted to the cameras that she was abused by Cordell, and that's where the song comes from. And she admitted that Cordell physically abused her. So when she admitted this, a lot of folks were shocked. It went viral all over the blogs. And now Cordell is coming out saying that she's a liar and that he did not put his hands on her. I'm going to go ahead and play you guys a snippet of her interview, and I'll come back with the rest of my commentary.
Wow, you have to watch and see how it ended up being edited. And I didn't blog a lot this season because it was just difficult for me. A lot of what I gave the cameras was my truth. And it was just so hard to dig deep and just be that transparent about something so hurtful. But what did end up helping me midway through the season, I decided to turn to music because I just kept building up feelings. And, you know, being around some of the other women, they were being judgmental about the situation and just kind of, you know, I couldn't lean on a couple of them. Most of them were really supportive, but some of them weren't.
Why were they judging? What were they judging you on with Cordell?
I just feel like, well, mainly it's like people who want to say karma or what have you, like how Kenya used karma and saying that maybe my divorce was karma or whatever, just not being sensitive to the situation. But, you know, I had a great support system, but I leaned on music. And I got in the studio, and I worked on this song called Flatline. And it actually embodies all of the emotions that I was going through at the time.
It looks like domestic abuse in the scene when you watch this video.
Yes, the video does touch on domestic violence, you know, some abuse that I encountered in my marriage. It's not exact to what I went through, because really, honestly, what I went through was a little bit worse in some instances.
What happened to you? What happened in the marriage?
Well, abuse, physical and mental.
Physical and mental.
Yeah.
Did he hit you?
Yeah.
He hit you?
Yeah.
And
Repeatedly?
There were several different occasions that this happened, and
was this the way of fights, arguments would escalate and then it would get physical? Did that pretty much happen regularly?
Well, not every single argument, you know, because when you're in an abusive situation, it just kind of builds and it starts to get worse and worse. And, you know, people ask me, you know, why didn't you tell anybody or call the police or what have you? I thought that I could make it better. Like, I honestly thought that after each situation, I would change this, I would change that, and therefore the outcome wouldn't be the same. And it doesn't work like that, you know, and I didn't realize that. I'm still realizing that now, that a lot of what happened, it wasn't my fault. I blame myself a lot during that. And, you know, like I said, in the song, Flatline, I'm talking about, you know, flatlining on love and wanting to give up on life, because when you're married the way I was and how I was 100% in, that was my everything. If I couldn't make that work, it was over for me across the board.
Let's take a peek. Let's take a look at the new music.
Okay, so you guys just watched the interview. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys Cordell's response right now. These are the interviews that he did defending himself from these allegations on Porsha. Okay, so you guys just read what Cordell wrote, and I just feel like this whole situation is crazy. I kind of feel like Cordell basically dodged a train wreck. I don't know how I feel about this whole situation, because I know how it is to be abused and have somebody put your hands on you, but I also feel like Porsha may be lying for attention as well, because I remember back on the show when Candy asked her, did he ever put his hands on her, and she literally gave the longest pause I've ever seen on reality TV. She paused so long, and then she said no. If she had been abused, if she was free from him, she was divorced from him, she would have admitted it right there and then. She said that the man never hit her, but now that folks are calling her out on her bullshit, now that folks are doing this whole Team Porsha versus Team Kenya, and folks are calling her out on her behavior, I feel like once again Porsha's trying to deflect from her actions at the reunion, and she's trying to basically talk about this abuse from Cordell, you know, when she never spoke about this before. I just don't know how to take Porsha at times. You know, I've seen videos of her online preaching, and usually I don't pay attention to online preachers, but Porsha really has a gift. She really can preach.
I give all honor to the Lord, my Savior, Jesus Christ. Tonight I'll be speaking on God's helmet of salvation. I'll be coming from the book of Isaiah 59:17. He put on his righteousness as his body armor, and he placed a helmet upon his head of salvation. He clothed himself with a robe of vengeance and wrapped himself in a cloak of divine passion. The armor of salvation tonight that I'm speaking about is the helmet of salvation. Before we explore the actual helmet of salvation, let's get an understanding of the helmet in its natural understanding and an understanding spiritually, what we're talking about when we mention a helmet. In the flesh, when we speak of a helmet, it's something that you put on your head to protect yourself from injury. So if little Timmy is going outside and he's going to ride his bike, you're going to tell him, put on your helmet. Because you don't want him to fall down and hurt his head. Spiritually, when we're speaking of a helmet, we're speaking of something to protect our hope, our very belief in Jesus, which is in our head. That's where the hope is. Our faith is in our heart. So we want to arm ourselves with the helmet of protection to protect that very hope of salvation.
I literally sat there and listened to her preach for a whole 10 minutes, and she moved me. I was surprised. I'm like, how is this woman who was a preacher, who was so articulate, so beautiful, so smart, how did she go from being a preacher to being this damn bird on the Real Housewives of Atlanta? You know, I understand that these shows are scripted, but I feel like this woman literally sold her soul and her marriage for reality TV. I feel like Cordell wanted to be with a wife and a pastor, and when she didn't want to do that anymore, when she thought it was better to chase fame, I feel like that's where their conflict came from in their marriage. Because a lot of folks don't realize that Porsha was a pastor. I was shocked when people sent me the video, but it's really her preaching. So I, for one, do not believe that she does not know anything about the Underground Railroad. You can't memorize the Bible and be able to quote, you know, scriptures from the Bible, but then you don't know anything about the Underground Railroad. Miss me with that. I feel like she wanted the fame, she wanted the prestige, and she didn't know how to balance both worlds, and that was the demise of their marriage. I really don't know what to think. You know, I can't just say that he didn't hit her because I wasn't in their marriage. I wasn't there. But I do find it suspicious that she's coming out now saying that he hit her when she's been asked before and she had always said no. And I also feel like she's doing this to promote her album. I feel like she's just trying to keep her name out there. She's trying to find a way to keep herself relevant and on the show, because right now they're still talking about firing her. So I feel like she has ulterior motives for putting out this story. You know, and it's just sad because I don't feel like domestic violence is a joke. I don't feel like people should just accuse people of domestic violence if they were not in a domestic violence situation. This can tarnish somebody's reputation. And if you were really abused, be honest about it. Don't say no one day and then yes the next. You know, because things happen in marriages, things happen in relationships, and sometimes people do put their hands on each other. You know, but I just find the whole situation just disheartening. And I feel bad for Cordell, because Cordell does not want to have anything to do with this show. He doesn't want his name drugged into this. Folks keep interviewing him about the fight, about Porsha's behavior. Cordell has been trying to distance himself ever since this show aired, and I feel like folks just need to leave Cordell alone. He's saying that he didn't hit her. He feels like she's saying this for attention. All I can do is basically say it's going to be his word against hers. You know, I'm not on team nobody at this point in time, but I do find it suspicious that Porsha put this out there as she's trying to promote her album. So anyways, go ahead, leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts on this entire situation. Do you believe Porsha when she said that she's abused, or do you feel like she's just trying to promote her album? And then how do you feel about Cordell's response? And also, how do you feel about Porsha going from being a pastor to being a reality TV show star? So let me know your thoughts. All right, deuces.